camera, roll sound, action. Who's first?
So, hi guys.
Hi.
Welcome back to Comic-Con. How's it going? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling exhausted or,
I'm energized, just voice effed up.
I'm loving it. It's so much fun to be back. It's so much fun to see everybody. First night here, we ran into like all of our friends at a party. What party we were at?
Yeah, we were at the Love and Thunder party last night.
And it was so much fun.
Ready Player One.
Right away, we ran into like everybody. You know, and we're like,
Flux
holy
capacitors.
cow. Yeah, and the flux capacitors played. It was really so much fun.
You know, you have this break for so long after everything. A couple things happened in the last few years. We haven't been in touch, so it's so funny. Like in 1 second, we saw 30 people that we've missed for years, and it's like, can we all just hug together?
It was it's been a lot of fun. So it's been fun to come back and also be with this great cast. We have 7 of us here that are core players in it, and there's a lot of fun to do, and so we're thrilled to be here.
You're a co-exec EP. Did this come to you? Was this your idea? How did this come to you?
This was written by Sean Michael Argo and Raphael, who's our writer, and then our director Sean Piccinino was the director of it. It was presented to me, and when I read it, I went, okay, and then I suggested Peter.
End of story.
And I called Peter up and I go, Peter, I got this great script. I think it's amazing. I'd love to see your opinion. And I talked to the director, and he loves the idea of you. And the director was over there, and then we made the offer for him, and he was kind enough to do it. So we were very lucky.
That's how it went down.
Yeah, Peter was a big get for us.
He was a big
We were
get for
really
us.
hoping it would work out.
Yeah.
I was happy to jump on board.
Yeah,
It's great.
a lot of physical stuff with this summer. Yeah.
We had a lot of physical stuff. He and I were doing so much, but then I saw her after we did so much. We were running in these sand dunes and jumping down and doing all this and just shooting. We doing all our because they didn't have enough stunt guys, so we're all doing it. And little Ashley over there was the run. She's a
plays
runner.
Yvonne White.
Yeah, she plays Yvonne White. She ran. So as soon as she goes, she's a
Everyone's
runner.
like, yeah.
We're all like, oh man. So we're all trying to run after this girl. And then Jenny, after we got done with all this, we're all exhausted. It's been hot. We're in this equipment that you have to lift up like this to breathe. I see my wife at the end going, Sean sends her up a mountain to run down and then jump in. And when I mean up the mountain, so she's all the way up from the top, and then she runs down. It's the biggest sand dune in all of the thing, and then she runs down.
To going everywhere, and I'm just like, oh my God.
3 times.
Oh my God.
3 times. I was like, just
At the
walking
end of
up
the
there, I was
day,
like,
it was exhausting.
when I watched her walk up, I'm like, oh, I wouldn't want to have to walk up there. And I see her running down. I'm like, what is she doing? And her dad was there with me because he played as Salvage Marine. We played it for one day. And he comes up and he goes like this. He goes, wow. She's amazing. And I was like, she is, Pops. She's really amazing. So.
That's just the training for Comic-Con, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
It feels like this.
So I'm going to take a little look back for a minute. I hate to do this.
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers is one of those movies that has been kind of grown in popularity over time.
Yep.
It's one of my favorite movies. Do people still recognize you as Johnny Rico? Does that make you mad, or are you cool with it?
I love it. It's the greatest thing in the whole world. And what some of the correlation I can get, I can tell you this much. People were putting pictures of me up in my helmet as Rico, and now as Heist, Samuel Heist.
Side by
So
side.
side by side, and they go and Johnny Rico, 1997. 2022. It's like, oh,
It's getting younger.
And are there any similarities between the roles? I haven't had a chance to screw yet. I mean, they're both
you haven't
space,
seen it yet?
future. No, I mean,
The first 2 episodes, you can see. This is the difference. Okay, Starship Troopers, great movie. Paul Verhoeven's a genius, and the way he played it and everything. Like when my character was just one, he was like, yes, whatever it is, that's what the mobile infantry is good for. So my character now, we're older, and we decide to sign up later because you're born with life debt. And your father had it, it's passed down to you. The only way to really maybe get out of life debt, it's almost like real life here, is just going to say this.
Very
and
American.
Very funny. You can join the mobile infantry. And maybe you can pay it off in a certain amount of years.
Those Salvage Marines.
Salvage Marines, not mobile infantry, sorry. Salvage Marines. I'm confused. We asked.
I did that to you.
You
I
did that to me.
apologize. That's on me, everybody.
But thank you for correcting and fixing it. And then what happens is once we do that, you sign up. But the problem is the Salvage Marines, its death rate is 80%. That's just the death rate. That's not talking about getting wounded.
And his corporation.
And his corporation. And then we find out that the corporation is, they fund not only our money, our bullets, but our enemies. So they're really.
Are you giving away pups?
Is that spoiler alert? Should we like
Are
tag?
you doing that? Are we?
Is that a spoiler?
Yes, it is.
Well, then did I just Tom Holland it?
You Tom Holland. We all get one. We get
I
one.
Tom Holland.
I feel horrible. I asked the question. I got all in trouble. I'm sorry.
He started
sir.
going that route, and I'm kind of like this.
It's a big moment. Well,
Yes.
so the thing is, my character.
Huge reveal of the season.
So my character signs up, and then he.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, he signs up and he has to do this to fight off the life debt, and then he starts noticing that it's that there's things that are amiss, evil things.
Would you stop it?
No.
So Casper, so I read you have a family history of military service.
My father was a Navy pilot for 20 years to hunt submarines. My grandfather was a Marine medical corpsman. My other grandfather was a Marine in World War I and the Coast Guard World War II.
Your brother?
My brother's in the Army.
He's done a million tours.
Yeah, he's done like 7 or 8 tours in Afghanistan, Iraq, and then.
And you went to military school?
I went to a military school, but not into the military. There's a big difference between that. But I loved it. I love the military, and I have the most respect and admiration for those guys. And the men in my life, all of them were in the military except for me and one uncle. And he's a big hippie. But the rest of them, but they were all such great men, and I just had so much respect for them. And they're just, they're polite and kind and thoughtful and tough, and that's what I grew up with.
And that would have been your path if you hadn't won a modeling competition.
Probably.
So does that history inform how you play these type of characters?
I think so. I think it very much is. It's. I don't like to. I wouldn't want to portray the military in an unflattering light. I appreciate that what they've done for us, that I can afford to do this, or we can afford to be here and do this. I appreciate the sacrifices my grandfather made. He lost his brother and all of his, all his friends. There's a monument in Wyckoff, New Jersey that has all their names on it. There was only 3 survivors from his battalion. So, there's a huge sacrifice that these men are willing to do, and the ones that we don't even know that don't come back. So for me, any chance I get to play somebody in the military, it's a huge thrill for me. I turned down a role once that was a negative guy. I was like, no, I'm not gonna play that. And I'm not saying there's not people like that. I'm just not gonna do it.
Yeah.
I don't need to.
You don't want to be that guy.
I didn't need to, and I didn't like the script. If I had liked the script, it probably might have been like,
Close call.
maybe I can color it a little bit.
Like, I'm gonna switch this a little bit.
Yeah, he can be this way, but he's also good.
Deep down.
Is the film special effects heavy at all? Or?
It is very heavy in the special effects. Now, we're kind of like a throwback to like the original
80s and 90s.
Star Trek and Doctor Who, and so it's not like it's taking me back to that. That's the other thing I liked about it. So
Different than Starship Troopers?
yeah, it's a lot different than Starship Troopers, but there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of similarities too. So it's fun.
You like working with the VFX? Is it more challenging as an actor?
Sometimes.
It's kind of the only thing I know.
Yeah. Playing off of nothing.
There's a lot of that in filmmaking these days, so I find it rare that I'm not, in a project where I'm acting against a green screen. A lot of this will happen that way, but also a lot of it was on location with, real set pieces. So they always kept us on our toes.
Yeah, and this one I liked a lot. There was a lot of character development, and there was a lot of arcs in it, and everybody wasn't like, like I'm just this, and this. They had levels to it, and we're also multiracial, and that's not even.
It's a diverse future.
It's a diverse, and there's not even any talk about it. Male, female, doesn't matter. Everybody's equal all the way through. which was similar to Starship Troopers. And,
Yeah, the shower scene, man.
Yeah, we have a shower
We
scene
have a
too.
shower
That was a big one. I'm just saying.
We have a shower scene. Yeah.
Raphael took care of you guys.
Peter and I were taking a shower together. Wait, what? What? That's kind of odd.
Who wrote that scene?
I don't know. That's kind of odd that you and I were doing that.
Odd that I'm getting upset now.
It's mostly men. Yeah,
so
there's one
confused.
girl in the shower and all these men.
So this question won't get you in trouble, I think.
You don't know me. You don't know me very well yet, do you? You will if you come to the panel at 4 on 5.
Five.
If you come
You
at
don't even
5, you will now know how much trouble I will get in.
You've been to Comic-Con before, because I think I saw you when you did the other Starship Troopers animated kind of remake. You came out here for that. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes, Trailer Parks.
I came for Starship Troopers, Tarzan, Sleepy Hollow, Starship Troopers 3, Starship Troopers 4, Starship Troopers 5, Con-Man Series 1 and 2, Mortal Kombat Season 2.
Johnny Cage.
He was in
Con-Man
Johnny Cage.
Season 2.
Con Season 1 and 2, yeah.
So
and
you come
now
here,
some.
you're known. You're
Yes.
Johnny Rico or all these other roles. Do you ever go on the floor and like put on like a Grimace costume or something? It's you know?
Never do that. I have cosplayed as myself in the con, so I'll just
Do
walk
people
through the con.
recognize you?
I'll walk as me. Yeah, yes.
You're a cheap rendition of
I go.
Van Dien.
We were once at a con, and I got up
LA
on
Comic-Con.
We were at LA Comic-Con, and they were doing a cosplay competition, and I just jumped up on stage and cut in line. And I go,
catwalk.
excuse me, I'm gonna go ahead of you. And they go, what's your cosplay? And I'm going, Casper Van Dien.
He said, that's the
Did I
best
win?
makeup job I've ever
I go,
seen.
did I win? Did I win the cosplay? So,
That's great. See, you didn't get in trouble, I don't think.
I know, so far.
that was a good question.
So where'd you shoot? It looks a lot like Detroit or Eastern Europe or something like that.
Looks like a blown out Detroit, but it was really it's a little section along the Mississippi. Can I name it?
Yeah.
Near Baton Rouge and between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. It's called Cancer Alley.
The official
That's what they
name.
call it.
Like a 30, 40 mile stretch. We shot everywhere in there.
And then also in England.
Yeah,
We shot
London.
we went to London and we shot in London. So we shot
Black
in
Anchor Studios.
Louisiana and in London. So
Southampton, England.
yeah.
And those sand dunes are just in the middle of Louisiana.
Yeah,
It's
they're
just
somewhere in the
weirdest
middle of-
thing. it's man-made.
You go in, there's a
Looking
forest.
for alligators? Find sand dunes. There's a Serengeti. What is
It looks like a desert. You're like, what is going on? How is this even possible? Because everything around it is all trees. And then all of a sudden when you get in it, you're like, I'm only in the desert. And that's where, she ran up the mountain.
It's really hard
You'll
to
see that.
run in full military gear in sand.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's probably better if it's real military gear and not the
Yeah.
plastic ones that we get made up and
Oh, I almost fainted a few times.
Yeah.
Literally off the side, just going, God,
I
please.
took a picture of him.
Not in
because
front of
his back
my-
was
not
to
in front of
us.
the cast.
So beautiful. And everybody's like, what was he thinking? I was like, he was catching his breath.
A few times.
How much did the equipment weigh then? Was
Would
it?
you say 40 pounds?
Somewhere about 30, let's say about 30.
30 pounds.
It felt like 40 to
Well, listen,
me.
wearing long johns and like flight suits, and then all the armor on top, the balaclava, then the helmet. It's 110 degrees at lunchtime.
So you shot in the summer then?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And you carry the big gun.
He does.
You're referred
Yes.
to as a con, ex-con.
Yeah.
Will we find out what that is? Is that like just kind of in the future?
Spoiler free though, right?
Yes.
It's alluded to my previous life. I tried to reflect that in the first couple episodes, and of course he has a he has this journey to exactly who he becomes by the last few minutes of the last episode. So yeah, I hope we allude to it.
Yeah.
Perhaps in the future and see some of the things that I might have done. But yeah, I'm kind of a fuck up. And the only person that keeps me in line, I guess, is my probably the only relationship I have is Sam Heist's character. So what he does, I do. Because it's the only family he knows. So he does practice some kind of loyalty, and principles right there in that relationship. But I guess off alone, yeah, it's a fuck up on a really fucked up planet. So I wouldn't blame my character. It's a really messy future.
When you get a script, do you have any opportunity to either ad lib or like
Stop me right hell there. No, look at me. No, they don't give me a shot to do anything like that. That's why when this gentleman came and he said, there's this role that really fits you, as an actor, especially racially, was a Japanese character, was written in by,
But not about his race. But
Not
he
about
was
it.
Japanese.
Sean Michael Argo, who wrote the series, it was clear, and this character was secondary character in the book series, and he didn't want to deviate from that. In this climate of getting things right and of diversity, he called me and assured me that he would never let that happen. Take a look at this role. So he came to me because of him, and his understanding about the obstacles I face as a professional. So that was one of the most generous things that has ever been done for me. Yeah.
Were you familiar with the books before?
Not at all. He brought it to me, and that night I got sent the script.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. I'm reading it. I'm like, oh
I
yeah.
literally called
oh,
up
yeah.
Peter. I called him up. I hadn't talked to him in probably a year and a half. I saw him last. I had been in Malibu before. We just ran into each other, but we had done something a couple of years ago, and I was just like, dude, I love this guy. There's something about him that just. And then when I read the script, I went. For some reason, I visioned him, and I said, I asked Sean. I go, the director. I go, what do you think of Peter Shinkoda? He goes, I love Peter Shinkoda. Could we get him? I go, I'll call him. I called him. I go, hey, look, there's this script. I think it's really good. There's a Japanese character, but it's not about that.
It's a Japanese surname. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing. There's never ever a mention, which I love. So it's all about the people and the relationship. Most important thing.
They're brothers.
We're brothers. We're brothers. There's no way that there's any difference between us. And it is in real life too. I love him dearly. He's one of my closest friends, and I would do anything for him. And I know he's always got my back. When I was filming there, I could turn around and he would just be right there, and we'd be like this. And there was times where we were like, dying, and it was like the worst thing ever happened, and there were some really horrible things that happened, and we're like, but no, never once. Just we're like, let's do it, let's get it done. It was
They
unbelievable.
were good leaders for the set, all of us, because it's a big ensemble cast, and as the two leads, we all look to them, and they set the tone of the set, and it was just really, really cool to have these guys who have such great experience. All of our friends group are people who are regularly working, but haven't had the success these two have had, and the way that they showed up as leaders was just really incredible. It took time to work on scenes with all of us who aren't as experienced as them. They were really patient with us. And it was a lot of fun to get to do that with these amazing guys.
So you're not going to share any like bad behavior set stories where they were like,
We really didn't have that.
We didn't have time. Literally, we didn't have time. I mean, we also had like Kevin Porter over there. He plays Batman and Batman Son things. He's like 6 foot, 180.
Teddy bear.
But he's the coolest guy and so dedicated. And he plays one of the bosses in it.
So good.
And then Renata Washington.
Renata, who plays his wife.
Is an amazing actress, and so she came in. And it's a friend of hers, and she's like, "Hey, why don't you come and kiss my husband?" Didn't play his wife, and she's the one that suggested her. And then Kevin Porter we all suggested, and then we got Ashley in it and Shane. Shane we met through Sean Piccinino.
So because it's a group of friends, like we all love each other, so it was just such a great process.
And it's nice to have people that have your back.
Yes.
Like that. It's really just it's a nice thing going into that, and we're all like so excited to come here to be together.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're such good people. I can't even tell you how much I love them.
So you two knew each other. Did everyone know each other?
Yeah, most of
Everybody
us knew
except
each
for we didn't know Shane except for Sean Piccinino knew Shane, but none of us knew Shane.
Well, we had met Shane on the movie you did with him.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we knew Shane. Yeah.
I did know
and
Shane.
Doolittle.
But I mean, he's the one that introduced me to him. So,
Yeah, Sean did.
All right, so Shane.
Sean
we knew
brings
each
a lot
other.
of us together. Sean
Yeah.
Piccinino.
So your character sounds like a badass.
She is.
Did you find it hard? Did you try to keep a little feminine kind of, edge in there as well? Or is it conscious? Do you take it?
I grew up like completely loving
hard to mix.
Wonder Woman. Like that was my thing. I loved Wonder Woman growing up, and I almost got a huge thing, a tattoo of Wonder Woman. They said, "Don't do that because someday you're gonna
Don't get
be,
tattoos.
you're gonna be the woman, and you're gonna have a different icon on here." So it's cool to be Jada, who she embodies all those things that Wonder
She's
Woman.
the reference model. She was the reference model for 13
Kind of look like her.
I'm the reference model. So if you read the comics, it was my face for 12 years.
That makes
Yeah.
Oh, you literally.
I literally was.
Literally,
yeah.
I went to Warner Brothers one day, and they had 13 different. I have the pictures in here. 13 different comic book artists drawing her, and she just stood up there in poses and doing
I
all
had
this.
art-
and the
archery
thing.
stuff.
And I was like this. I was like, she's like, "You really want to come to this?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is the coolest thing in the world. I'm actually dating Wonder Woman, so please."
If you were a reader of the DC Comics, DC period from like 2007 to 2012, I was the furrowed brow of DC Comics.
Yep.
So if
So-
the
and
characters
that's-
did that, it was my brow.
She's the bombshell. She's also the bombshell Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Have you seen the bombshell
And
Wonder
the
Woman?
sign
That's her.
non-disclosure for Jim Lee.
That's her. That's her.
Yeah.
The bombshell is her. She's in the costume.
Yeah, it is her. I've seen that.
Yep. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
But so being so inspired by Wonder Woman, who is nurturing and feminine and kind, she has this crush on Batman, but she's like trying to balance those things. Like that's what I used for this, really. Like I'm like, okay, this is my chance. Like I'm 5'5", so I'm never gonna actually get to play Wonder Woman. I'm only gonna be the face, you know. So I said, this is my time to take those things that I love about that character and plug them in. He's my Batman.
So cool.
So what was the relationship with Popcornflix like? How did that come together?
So Popcornflix is it's a subsidiary of
Chicken Soup.
of the Soul and
Okay.
and also
They work with Crackle TV.
and they are 100% behind this, and they're putting this out. They're putting it out for free on Popcornflix on July 28th. And we're gonna have the world premiere of our trailer at our panel at 5 in room 7AB. If you guys want to come, it's gonna be the world premiere of that trailer. You've already seen the first couple episodes.
Yeah.
You didn't see it yet, so you might want to come.
I gotta catch it.
It's gonna be the world premiere of that.
Everyone is pointing at me for the record. I'm sorry.
They're gonna hand out some things for people to get posters for the next day. We're gonna do a signing for that. It's just, but Popcornflix, if you ask me, they're awesome. So far, they've been
They just acquired it after
acquired
it was
it?
done.
And it moves fast.
Yeah, it moved
And if we
very
do a
fast.
season 2, they'll be involved.
That's awesome.
And that's the thing. They're very excited about
They're
it. So-
also right there.
yeah, they're right there.
So go be nice to them.
Yeah.
No, they're actually
They're actually, it's actually awesome. It's so nice and refreshing because everyone's like, we want you to go to Comic-Con. We want you to do a panel. And that's rare that, a show, especially a small show like this. This is a small show that if it finds an audience, it's gonna be through real, like what I grew up a fan of, I grew up a fan of Star Trek. The original Star Trek I loved, and the original Doctor Who I loved. And it's just so great. Buck Rogers, all that. I love that. And this, it's throwback to this. Yeah, Flash Gordon, going back and doing this, It's such a thrill for me to be able to be somebody in one of those things. And if it hits, then great. If not, it's fun. But they believe in it so much, they're like, we want you to come to the panel, but we're gonna bring everybody. And they brought us all. Now,
And
that's amazing.
it was also really cool to watch. We had this guy, Pino, who was working our sets. And we would be in there and we'd be like, oh gosh, this is where it's going to be tomorrow. I don't know if this is going to pull through. We'd come in and he would have everything just together. Him and his team who did the sets, they worked so hard. They would be up all night working to make it look cool, and we'd go over to him, beep boop beep boop beep, on the old school like sci-fi sets. It was really
Which
fun.
was so much fun because I'm thinking of William Shatner doing this, and or G. Frost Kelly,
There's many elements.
with nothing going on, and you're like, they're just doing this, they're just going, and it wasn't even a phone, it was just a thing where they're going,
Clear plastic.
so when we get to do some things, it's awesome. So
I think there's a universal theme through it. There's a lot of throwbacks. We're embracing a lot of things retro, from music to the sets to the language of our characters, design of the vehicles. There's a lot of throwbacks. You're gonna see these moments throughout every episode where I know that. I know what they're saying. I know what they're referencing. I know what they're what they're rehashing. So I love those.
There was one scene I got to watch with these two that I wasn't in, and I got to sit back and watch them. They're coming down this dark hall. You can just hear and it was the Honeymooners. It was like old school, vintage black and white TV. They're pacing and their dialogue, and I was just like, gosh, it's so nice when you're in something because a lot of times as performers, you forget to enjoy it while you're there, and we did not do that on this. We all were just like, can you believe we're getting
we were so excited to work with each other.
We can actually say that? Yeah, let's just do it.
And I know a lot of times actors will say that in the thing. They'll say that they were, but it really was, it was really just a thrill to be in.
We're all taking screenshots of the thing. Like, look how cool you look.
So if someone's listening to this interview and says that, I might be interested. Give me the elevator pitch on who is going to love this show.
the elevator pitch of who's gonna love this show.
From my
Anybody that has great taste and anybody who has great taste and is smart and intelligent, really good looking, strong, handsome, pretty, beautiful,
Successful
kind,
or going to be successful.
or really wants to be successful,
Hi,
they're gonna love this.
I think
me,
anybody is not
the women in this are so awesome. Leonardo, like, she brings it. Leonardo Washington.
Not at you. And
She brings it, and the girls, when we're in our combat scenes, you see the girls giving it just as much as the guys. Like, they're like, oh, you think you can outrun me? I'm going. You know, like, always wanted, and Ashley and Shane Graham, they were in a competition when we were jumping in the dunes to see who could jump the highest, and we were all judging, like, no, Shane got you on that one. You know, it was just so much fun.
and actually, literally, if you forget, she was
Yvonne White.
Yeah, she was a real track star. So
Oh, you can't beat that.
Beating all of our butts.
so that's why it's like, and you know, that's a little bit of like for the guys, we're like, because we're the old men, and in the script we play the old men. It's also that there's a little bit of ageism in it, a little bit, which we had to play off, which is so much fun to do from the guys. And he even has a great scene where he goes, okay, let's just cut it. Yes, we're old. And this is, you know, he like, I don't want to give it all away, but it's just the way he does it. For me, I was just like, that's awesome. And then, you know, I never had any notes for him. I never was like, oh, well, he goes, have you ever said, how was I doing? I go, perfect.
Yeah. So to answer your question, everybody.
Everyone, if you're alive, if you're breathing,
Right.
watch it.
If you're alive, yes. That's a good way. If you're alive, if you're dead, you might want to watch it. I don't know if you'll be able to. July 28th, it's free on Popcornflix. You can download that app, it's free.